Welcome to another APL Spotlight Series episode. Amazing guests the world over with incredible insights, experiences, here to share love, and they're often giving service in the real world to others. So we only have the most fun guests on this series from the main show, coming to us not from England normally, although he's nowadays in South Korea. He's coming to us from Thailand, from Chiang Mai, if I said it right, May.
The-
Uh, it's Ian Matthews, formerly a Royal military engineer with the Royal Army in the UK. Today, he's all about digital wellness, mindfulness, Zen, meditation, and much more. He does digital health coaching, and he's working out ways to help people relax and settle into, we'll make it up, a theta state or a relaxed state quicker using technology, but without interfering with the basic concept of going from mind to heart. Ian, great to see you again. Every time we get together, it's just such a pleasure, and I'm just honored to have you on the show.
Popcorn Crab, Michael, thank you very much. And Sawadee Crab, it's great to be here. Lovely to see you again, and I'm so looking forward to this.
Well, we've had some good interviews in the past. One we recorded, one I forgot. It was on me to hit the record button, and I'm going to have you back as much as I can in the future. Tell us a little bit about the city that you're in, and how special it is, and how Buddhist it is.
Yeah, Chiang Mai is unique. It's unique. I've been all over the world. I've worked all over the world. I've traveled all over the world, north, south, east, west. And suddenly, a few years ago, someone connected with me on a when I was doing a mindfulness webinar in the chat box, and he said, "Ian, you should go to Chiang Mai." And I'm like, Where's that?" It's in the north of Thailand. It's like a bubble, Michael, and to the audience, if I can explain. Suddenly, that place which you started to think wasn't out there anymore in this rather fast spinning world. As soon as you walk into the bubble, as soon as you land at the airport, this is what happens. And I usually come from South Korea into Chiang Mai. South Korea is very fast. It's bali bali, which is Korean for hurry up, which is the words that everyone says to their tiny tots, to the grown people all the time. You hear it all the time. And you can't help your nervous system starts becoming that when you stay in Korea for a while because everyone's rushing around. As soon as I landed in Chiang Mai for the first time, about at first, of course, you're a little bit unsure what's going on, but about 3 hours later, there was this run, and I was, what on earth is that? It's a complete let go because everything about Chiang Mai is kindness. Everything is smiles and kindness and genuine from a from deep Buddhist practice, authentic Buddhist practice. And the whole province is a Buddhist practice, essentially, in action, where no one's actually doing anything or sitting in postures or whatever. It's just how they interact with whoever you meet on the street, in the shop or whatever. My nervous system, when I come here, and I'm here again working, but it's also a detox for my nervous system. I recommend anyone who wants a detox for their nervous system to come to Chiang Mai.
Hmm. And to honor you and to say thank you again for all of this, I'm going to light a little bit of sage, catch it in Thailand now. I believe it's North Thailand.
Yeah.
And anybody at home who hasn't watched the show, you can check it out. For 95% of the shows we light sage. You can catch it whenever and wherever you are around the world. It doesn't matter when. Time and space isn't quite what you think it is because it's not about thinking. So just look at the sage, ask the universe, angels, Buddha to bring you the sage, catch it. Even if your nose is broken, you can still taste it, feel it, sense it with your heart. And Ian, are you getting it where you are now?
Yeah, I really am. Really
Yeah.
wafting through. Thank you.
And could you talk to us big picture a little bit about Zen Buddhism, maybe Tibetan Buddhism or other lineages, and between South Korea, Thailand, and your other experiences? Just give us a mix of what you've experienced and where you're headed.
Yeah. So when I took a break from the rat race, I was working as I was as you mentioned there, an electronic engineer in the Royal Signals in the British Army for 17 years. And then I needed to change. I knew that something consciously was evolving in me, and it was becoming more about what's going on inside me and who I was than it was outside fixing equipment, for example. So I started. I plonked myself in a tiny caravan that I bought off Amazon for, at the time, 70 quid, £70, just in the middle of a field in solitude. And it was just astonishing, the clarity that came over me, because I was so used to being the man and living and going to Cisco Systems in San Jose, these big places, concrete jungles. And the clarity was I needed to look within, start looking within, and mindfulness was my bag. I Where I was in the caravan, I went for a long walk one day, and there's one of the most foremost Buddhist centers was just where I parked the caravan. I towed it there for hours. I had no idea. And the 2IC to the Dalai Lama was teaching there. Cut a long story short, I quickly worked out that Buddhism for me was mind management. I know it's a lot of things to other people, and it's, whatever it is to you, that's fine. To me, it was managing my mind. It was methods and tools to manage my mind. So I dropped into that, and at first I was looking at things like Vipassana, and practices to help manage the mind, which is stop and then inquire. It's like two wings of a seagull. If you want to break free, you must practice stopping and then looking inside and self-inquiring, and then you're away. And that was lovely. But then I met my wife, who's Korean, and because we then moved to Korea, Japan was just over the water, so to speak. So I couldn't resist that, of course, in terms of looking at Zen. And Japan is, well, I mean, Chiang Mai, like I say, is a unique place, and so is Japan still. There is so much tradition. There is so much energy of quiet mind in Japan. It's not just sound bites. It's real. When you go there to the temples, when you go and meet the people, they are very much about politeness and interaction, which is not in any way forceful. There's no push and pull. It's just being. And I practice Zazen in Kyoto, which is where all the geisha tradition comes from. And I started getting hooked into Zazen because it's about no mind and simply sitting. It's that simplicity I love, Michael. It's just simply sitting by yourself and then watching the mind, observing it as if you're a kind of observer, and then you lose the observer and the observed, and you just become the whole scene. And Zazen, as I say, is that no mind aspect of being. And these are the practices now that I've carried forward. But I try and make sure that the people that I help and that I teach to slow down have even more practical tools, because it can get quite symbolic and everything else, isn't it? You mentioned symbolism when we were talking before we went live. I'm after giving people practical tools that are realistic for their day to help them press the brake on the acceleration. All gas, no brakes is not good. So the Zazen I use, it's just meditation. I will call everything meditation because life is meditation when you integrate these tools into your everyday, your every moment, your every movement, your every breath, your every meditation. And so all of those modalities I bring back to the single word and meditation, and life should be total meditation. And I've got that all from the West and the East. It's come together in this lovely symbiosis with practical tools to help me be more aligned with myself, and may that then ripple out so I can help others.
And you were science and tech and then heavy on the Zen, and now you're bringing science, tech, and neuroscience back into the picture. Again, not to make things more complex, but to make it more, I don't want to use the word easy, but more straightforward, and to assist your clients and future clients the ability to get to hear quicker. Is there a way you'd like to say it more efficiently?
No, that's beautifully said. It is. It's to accelerate it, because the days where you have to sit for 300 hours in what can be rather uncomfortable poses, to be quite frank, it's not necessary. It's only necessary if you wish to do that. And there are a lot of people that wish to do that, and it's absolutely beautiful. And you'll go deep, 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 deep. For our practical purposes in the day, though, all of those traditions, they were, let's face it, when people are plying their trade, and these could be gurus. They want to keep the community, don't they? They want to keep the Sangha with them and stuff. So it's in their interest to make people sit and practice, practice, practice. And that then relates, of course, to neurophysiological change within you too. So it's beautiful, it's brilliant. But that was, the old days, if you like, or the traditional days. We don't live in those days where we have that much time to sit around, do we? We really don't. And so I distill everything, if you like, and my approach is neurophysiology or neuroscience. It's mindfulness and polyvagal therapy, which is all about the vagus nerve, which is the brake that I mentioned. If you want to press the brake, particularly on your nervous system, i.e., life, to slow down, take a few breaths, counterbalance from the overload and overwhelm so that you can then be clear of mind again and sit in just that zazen, no mind, peaceful state, you're then going to start making healthier decisions about you, your mind, your body, and your emotions. So, WellTech now is measuring what we're doing with all these practices. So the WellTech that I'm now co-developing is where the smartphone, which can, for a lot of people, quickly become their go-to device to find out what's going on out there in the world, to find out who they are inside of themselves. And a lot of the times that it can get a bad press, if you like, but it's neutral. The device is neutral. It's not good, bad, or whatever. It's how you use it. So we have apps and WellTech now, including mine, where it will scan me inside, scan my neurophysiology after I've given somebody a Zazen practice. It tells me how you're breathing. It tells me how your heart is doing and your heart rate variability, which is a indicator of good practice. And it tells me, you mentioned the brain waves. It tells me how your stress is doing. In other words, are you in high beta or deep theta while even you're awake? So I can measure that now, Michael, and that's what WellTech is doing. And I can digitally health coach you from here with a practice. And after the practice, I can get you to take your phone out and scan yourself, send me the results, the key biomarkers, and I'll go, there you go, buddy. Proof it's working, which gives you more confidence and motivation to keep going. This is where we're at now.
So there are some people out there with this technology in the future, which is in the works and will be available soon, that can, and this is not the important aspect of this, but some people are very inclined to quickly appreciating something and quickly getting to hear. This should aid some people drastically and be a visual confirmation and a technological confirmation that they're arriving home
Exactly,
here. But
exactly
for
that.
others, it'll be a
Exactly.
reassurance. It'll be an extra bit of assistance. So instead of 500 hours, it might only be 250 or 100.
Exactly. And it verifies that. Not only do you verify it in yourself anyway, because at the end of the practice, I make sure people marinate and get those sensations non-judgmentally, which is beautiful in itself. And sips of Satori, things that you've mentioned when we've been talking, they start to happen. And then you can kind of measure it and prove that that's what you felt. So this is where we are, and it also, for me, more to the point with your incredible work, and you're working with all sorts of modalities, including override affirmations, visualizations, manifestations. That's what you're doing. Well, now we've got the science to prove what you're doing, and what the work you're doing is essential right now for people. We've got the science to back it up that what you're doing is real, because not only does it relate to a spiritual growth and an awakening, which is what you do, bringing people to the heart center to come home, but there's the physiological facts that yes, that's what's happening within you too. They marry. It's symbiosis.
Well, let's take a quick step or two on the energy side or light side. I mean, if everything is light, everything is already conscious, everything is already interconnected. All it is helping a person see what's already part of them, within them, and around them. And that's where I love that you're coming in a way that just slices through everything, the way a traditional healer might at any quadrant of the globe, um, but without necessarily all the strings attached later. You don't have to go to 16 seminars or buy 25 books or travel halfway around the globe for part two.
Right.
The trusty iPhone. And I should mention Glow Stick Zen is a book that I jammed out back when I was popping. I mean, I'm still popping every day, hopefully. But it's like 1,300 pages or even 3,000 something on a reader, like an iPad. Um, and I believe I have a whole chapter that is your something about your cell phone is your Zen master for better or for worse, and everything is your reminder. So I had to mention that.
Um,
Here's a background, but blue sky is number one. People can see their light on their hands, and then we'll see what happens after this. But just see a little bit of color between my fingers. And after you do that, ask Joy, Thich Nhat Hanh, Buddha, and any other loving figures who want to come in to make more out of it. So first, just my flow. And what aura, light, consciousness flow do you see between my fingers?
I'm seeing actually a heart that's spreading out around them. It's sort of violet colored.
Good. And then I'll go bigger and a little movement faster, but have everybody come in and more light come in. What are you getting for extra?
All of a sudden now it's blanket. It's completely on the backdrop that you have there. It's now just blanketing out the whole thing.
Beautiful. And if you don't mind, it can be off camera or on camera. Just put a hand out in any direction. Just detach from the moment and let light come out of you or on you or both and be greeted. And we're almost doing the cell phone thing, except we're not going to get you a statistical readout in any way, but you'll simply get to enjoy it and breathe extra. What are you seeing now? Corner of your eye or directly, any way you want to do it, just to distract. Whoops. What'd you get?
Well, I'm very lucky because I'm in the middle of a jungle and I'm just seeing just the most tropical awesomeness.
Are you catching a little light around you at all?
Exactly. It's booming. It's, from that, it's booming straight through. It's coming this way, for
Before
want
we
of a better expression.
before we jump to any serious topics, can you talk to us about nature? And I don't know what aspect of it, but something that has to do with what we're our train of thought.
Um, Unfortunately or fortunately, we've been educated into belief that we're separate from nature, which is a complete and utter anomaly. It's just not true. It's completely untrue, and that separation then leads into more egoic, a more egoic shift, right from when we're very young, and it just extends and extends, and then that separation from nature in our minds, I'm talking about, becomes dualistic, and we live dualistically, me versus you, us versus them, black and white, and everything else. The stark reality is that we are nature. We are not just in it; we are it, and and it's not even worth explaining. It's truth, and it's not even worth then going into explain what do I mean by we are it. It's just those words are all you need, and the more you just say that to yourself, and I'm talking about yourself as a persona, but then your larger self, which is the whole of nature, you become it because you are it. That's what nature is, and that's what we are all the time.
What's one of your favorite mantras and the significance behind it? And do you usually say it out loud or silently, or it depends on the day?
Yeah, I mentioned about the affirmations that you do. My favorite mantra is what I call an override mantra to create new neurons in my brain because you can't uncreate the old ones. But what you do is you override with new mantras and new neurons, which are patterns that will form within your brain when you repeat something like this. So it's a wonderful topic you're talking about. Mine is how good can it get?
That's right.
And I'll say that pretty much after I've been from my walk in the morning. I'll do a stretch breath, which is just breathe in through the nostrils, extend the belly, and then breathe out a long exhale to bring that awareness back in me, awareness ready for the mantra. And the mantra is, how good can it get? And that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. That's all you need to say. And it'll become wired within you if you repeat that every day.
What has surprised you in the last year that you still hold dear to your heart?
Humanity, humanity. Because we can get a little bit disillusioned, can't we, about humanity, both within ourself and both to do with the people and things happening outside of ourselves, allegedly outside of ourselves, because there's no inside or outside really. But let's just talk for practical reasons that it is between ourselves and people outside of ourselves. A lot of things can happen, aren't there, within our daily lives, people we meet. People seem to be more on edge. People seem to be going faster, less time to stop and connect on a being level rather than a doing level. It's all sort of utility level. Why can't we just connect on a being level? And again, I have to thank Chiang Mai for that. I've been walking around this village, which is sort of carved out in a square around the jungle area, which is south of the city of Chiang Mai. And you know something, Michael? It's so genuine. All the doors are open still, even in this day. As you walk by, people will wave to you from within their house. They've never seen you before in their lives, and they try to speak English, and most of them are pretty good at it. Hello, sir. How are you? And it doesn't matter what age.
Hmm.
And the young kids will wave at you. The mature ladies who are sitting they've done their work and they're just sitting there all day, and they genuinely want to say hi. When I went to walk, because the nearest place to get my bread and milk and coffee and sneaky little chocolate, my guilty pleasure, is a long walk from here. And I was just walking in the middle of this nowhere, and one of these, those motorbikes where you have the sidecar? That's what they love here. And a young girl drove past. She said, "Let me take you." And I said, "Oh no, please, no, no, everything." And she said, "No, no, please, let me take you. Where are you going?" I said, "To get some bread and milk." And it was miles away. And she stopped what she was doing to pick me up. She was called Nuna.
Hmm.
She's all smiles again, and I just had the most sensational. So humanity is restored, and it's real. When we come from the heart and we take this out of the way, which they do so well here, they connect with the eyes. You're connected, then you sink into their hearts. They're genuinely open-minded. All of a sudden, you remember what we're here for, which is to interbe and connect. So it restored my faith a heck of a lot when it was starting to waver a little bit, um, and that then allows me to just not just keep going in what I do because I love what I do, but to enjoy what I do as well with the person that I'm either with in front of me or if I'm teaching over the internet.
I'd like to hand you a chocolate that's in a wrapper. It'll be three stages. I'm going to hand the chocolate. It's in a wrapper. You'll unwrap it. But I'm going to put three angels up to assist you with this because it's the exact topic you just talked about, but in a different wrapper. And the topic is the concept of disclosure UFOs were not the only casino on the Vegas Strip, but it's really not that. How we're all interconnected, that love may be the fabric of the universe. And so I have really stretched it out there as a topic. And I want to put up three angels to bring it back down to earth and to put it into sensibility or gentleness or compassion. So here's Joy and Charlotte. Just say got it when you got it from these two, and I'll put up one more after that because it's exactly what you were just saying, but you're going to say it in a different way, I think.
I got it.
Okay,
Got
and
it.
then
Thank
here's
you.
Min, who's light waves of energy and water, with a background from Sirius, not trying to be too serious originally before she was an angel. Mother Hawaii, if you prefer. Catch a little Hawaii in the air. And if you don't mind doing any mudra or just a movement of your hand for 1 second, and have some lovely light come in, a reminder about something else to add at the end, a sprinkle of something to go on the chocolate. What do we need to know, not just about humanity, but and the rest?
Love is all there is. Love is all around, and it's all you need.
Hmm. Tell us a little bit more. Um, you've gotten glimpses of this continuously since how far back?
You have it when you're with your family, because of course we always grow up with uh, that connection with our own blood, let's call it that, and we live around that, and it's so deeply held within us that our family brings us the love that we need. I was incredibly lucky. My mother, Scottish mother, Sheila, and my sister, who was a nurse Susan, unconditional love. It didn't matter what I did or whatever, and hopefully I wasn't too much of a wild one. Occasionally I was, and then I brought myself back. But it didn't matter really. They saw me for who I really am, and that now helps me enormously to be who I am. Unconditional love through them is something that now I try and make sure that I'm able to, through again me being balanced and and aligned and soaking in the what we call existence. Existence is love. You know, there's that saying that says, um, "Can I have the wisdom to know that I'm nothing, but also to love the love to realize that I'm everything." And that's how I try and approach my everything that I'm doing now. So I'm coming from a space of love, which again, a long time ago, you start thinking, okay, I had the love within my family. This is what I mean here, my family and my sister. But then once their bodily, their bodily physicality departed, I was struggling. I was struggling. I wasn't feeling that same love all of a sudden. And so you take that as a lesson to then how else can I expand then? What else do I need to know from their departure physically? And and again, the answer is in love, not the romantic love. I'm talking about the love which is literally all around. Seek that out and then become it because it's seeking you. So it becomes much more than the family. It does become an extension of humanity. And then you could say, without overplaying it in the ears of people listening, it becomes the whole of the cosmos, maybe even the whole of the universe, probably.
And part of your path is helping people have the confidence to cultivate their own inner authenticity, their love, to help it expand, and to help that growth keep going for them to embrace all with a capital A, or just more, or to allow for more at the very least.
Yes, it is, Michael. And my three sort of topics, if you like, are educate, engage, and expand. So I help people to understand what's going on in their interiority. You must, in my view, I know there's different views, just happens to be my personal view, put your own oxygen mask on first before you go and help somebody else, because you might then miss both opportunities to keep, to keep things alive, to keep things going. It starts with you. So I teach people the user guide to their interiority. That's essential because we're not taught it at school. And it literally would start with, again, particularly the nervous system, because that's the thing that gets out of whack. We have maladaptive stress responses because we're overwhelmed, not just from stuff outside, but the thoughts in our head as well. And our nervous system is meant to pendulum like this between fight or flight and then relax, rest and digest. It's not, it's stuck here. When we understand that that's the case, and we could use to begin with our breath to then unjar it, if you like, and get it swinging again in flow, we start living in flow. And that could start with a simple breath exercise. Okay, so making people educate with their interiority to begin with. Then we'll do a practice, which is to become embodied in a practice to realign, engage, embodied. And then after that, it's about expansion, like you say, Michael. And that could be anything, really. Expansion in terms of your perception of life, how you see the world, those types of things, or looking at other ways of how deep can I go to find myself and go home. And now it's been a surprise for me, to be honest, because like I say, a few years ago, I thought I was done with WellTech. But now the way WellTech is being used, as you rightly said in your book, it's the Zen. Your iPhone has all the Zen you need as well to not only measure you, but to help you recalibrate. So I expand people's knowledge of the WellTech that's out there. So those three principles: educate, engage, and expand. Use that within yourself first. Get yourself right first. And then from there, you're not coming from a place of lack when you're coaching people. If you're a coach, you're not coming from a place of lack in your relationship. I need him or her or them or they to fill in the hole that's missing inside of me. No, you're completely whole. You always have been, you always will be. So I remind people how to connect back into that, remain as that, and then go do your work, whatever you work on, whatever you want to do. And you're coming from a place of wholeness and fullness or abundance, right?
I love it. Extra clarity too. Uh, if you could, is there a time that you still shake your head and the universe somehow stepped in? It was a physical interaction, it was a dream, it was this, it was that, but it was interesting and you're very glad that it happened. Could you share one of those moments?
I have a lady, she's from Korea, and she is now a business associate of mine, helping me to do my work. She's a Qigong, she will be a Qigong master soon. She's called Ji Yoon, and she also has, in Korea, they like to have sort of Romany type names as well. It just helps people to quickly connect with them because people have difficulty saying the name in Korean. So Amita is her other name. I had lived in Korea for a long time and I was underneath Seoul Tower, if anyone knows where Seoul is, of course, and then you have the big Seoul Tower in the city center. I started some boot camps there because I was big style into health and physiology to try and shift people out of stress, anxiety, and burnout. And I would do boot camps around Namsan Tower. There was a place when I would come and finish the boot camp down to the right, a big building there. No one was occupying it. And I don't know why. Every time I walked past it or saw it, I thought something's going to happen there. I honestly, I did. And I thought, is it me? Am I going to do something there? I don't know. I left with my wife and then we went to Barcelona to live there for a few years. Came back to Seoul because of the pandemic, just to kind of circle the wagons and gather ourselves a little bit. And there's a huge wellness cafe in this place now. And I walked in there and this lady was there in the corner and she came up to me right into the eyes. Hello, sir. How can I help you? You look into her eyes, these Malteser eyes, and you go, well, there's whatever you want to call it, consciousness, awareness, God right there. And she doesn't even try. She doesn't practice it. It's just there. We connected very quickly. And not only did I do some work in that wellness cafe, it's called Ritamville, actually. It's a global wellness center now. The master of the center does work with Deepak Chopra. So they have all classes and groups together. Um, and also Michael Beckwith, who I met because he gave a big presentation and workshop there, and he invited me to do it. Michael Beckwith was in this center. All these things have happened in that place where I had a sense something was going to happen. Anyway, Ji-yoon started then working with me. She's now a big star in my life. She's coming over, funny enough, 2 days time to help me work on the well tech. Totally unexpected, total surprise. Wasn't expecting it at all. And again, you look back again at these senses that you have, this feeling that something's going to happen. Run with it because it probably is. It is instead of seeking, it's seeking you and it's knocking. Listen to it. Be still and listen to it and run with it. It might not happen directly, but just see what happens when you trust your intuition, your gut feeling about it, because something is knocking. Somebody is saying, "Let me in." And funny enough, when I came back, I was much more open. I'd sorted out issues, like I said, about love and everything else, and I was so open. And again, I just kind of wafted into this place, and then there she was, and everything happened from there.
And I'll put up three angels for you to choose one, but it could be two, it could be all three. Just hear who is saying pick me, and then we'll go into very simple, very quiet exercise. Are you getting all three? Are you getting two? Or are you getting one?
Yeah, I'm getting joy.
Okay, joy it is. If you'll just put your hand out, it could be on camera, off camera, and close your eyes. But like you're getting 50 euro, unless 50 South Korean currency is more. But either way, start to feel light and breathe extra or whatever you do to allow more flow through your body. But feel energy and light and even a little bit of joy and sparkle in your hand. Say, got it when you got it.
Got it.
And if you just bring it into your heart, you can either repeat it or you can just sit with it or whatever she suggests and you suggest. But allow it to take you somewhere. And then if you don't mind sharing afterwards.
Okay, it's taken me into there's a temple. I have a chap here, and he actually gave me this necklace here. Um, he's a kindred spirit. He said, "You must wear this." He said, "It's the three levels of your path." He said, "You're on level two at the moment." This was about 4 years ago. And he said, "You need to get to the third level, which is where you're headed. There's a place you must go and meditate, which is this long, dilapidated-ish cave just in the north of Chiang Mai city itself." And he said that's where all the energy is from when the real Buddhist masters of Chiang Mai originally would go and meditate. The energy in there is what you need right now to step up to the next level. This is what Joy has just done. Because I haven't thought about that for a while actually, and it's reminded me to go there again. Um, this sacred place full of the most incredible energy of meditative masters of Buddhist folklore and reality. And she's just taken me back to there, which is marvelous.
And if I give you like 3 to 7 words, joy, gratitude, appreciation, allowing, and maybe something else, which one resonates the most for you, but in a way that you can share something with the audience?
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Gratitude. Gratitude is so powerful, and we sometimes don't have the right idea of what gratitude means. Gratitude is not really about being grateful, for the good house, for the great job, all those things. That's not what gratitude is. The intention of gratitude is the present moment, is being grateful right here, right now, where you are, where I am, where the audience are listening, just in this moment. That's gratitude. No other words or images are required. And being grateful for just being here. In a sense, being grateful for just aliveness in this moment. That's gratitude. So gratitude is extremely powerful. Not only does it balance you, but it's proven to, when you touch just your chest here and you breathe in and out of the heart and have gratitude for just now, and you could even say it in your mind, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's proven that a electrical signal will be sent from your heart up to the emotional centers of the brain to switch off fear and put you into creative mode. It's a zero point 0.1 hertz frequency signal that travels up the vagus nerve to the back of the brain to say all is well, all is well. And just that simple practice, easy breathing, thank you. An electrical signal measurable now, thanks to WellTech, goes up to the back of the brain saying all is well. And you get into what's called coherence. Coherence is one of the things that I can measure in people now when I do something like a gratitude exercise. You're on full power. You don't have to do anything. You've now recalibrated the nervous system. The heart-brain coherence is now booming signals out in electromagnetic fashion outwards in the most positive way just by having gratitude.
Can you just remind folks again how tech you really are?
Well, I would, I hope this isn't going too far. As you know, Michael, and as many of your audience knows, everything is energy in terms of form. Because everything is energy, that means it's energy, if you simplify it, is going like this in waveform, right? On, off, on, off. And they would call that analog. We are now living in so-called digital times where all of your computers have the way they work, the electronics in computers literally goes on, off, but it's sharp, on, off like that. But it's the same thing. I would argue everything really is both analog or digital because life is change, life is ever changing. It's switching on, off, whether you want to call it analog or digital. It's an on, offness, which is happening underneath an unchanging eternal platform. On, off, we're appearing, we're not, we're appearing, we're not. And this constant, Max Planck spoke about in 1917, is the constant that allows us to be alive. And some people would call that consciousness, pure awareness. So the digitalness is happening thanks to the constant, which is the source of everything. That's what well-tech actually means to me. Hope it's not too deep. I like understanding that all these devices and everything that we have at our disposal now are there thanks to this constantness that is the source of everything. And I have gratitude for that constantness or awareness or consciousness or God, you could call it that. No problem. So get into the well-tech, get into your work and everything, but always know that it's based on a platform of the unchanging and the eternal too. Make sure you have that in your awareness, and then I think then you're complete. You know, whatever you're doing, whether it's well tech, not well tech, whether it's holistic, whatever you're practicing.
If people were to pick up three different types of audiobooks, whether it was Eckhart Tolle, Alan Watts, or someone else, who do you recommend that not only is delivering content through words, but you can feel or touch their presence somehow as they're talking through audiobooks? Do you have a couple of suggestions?
That's a great question, and it's something funny enough I was thinking about yesterday because who doesn't adore Alan Watts? If you're looking to evolve, consciously evolve, who doesn't adore Alan Watts? Way ahead of his time. 17 years old, he walks into a major, gentleman's club in London, um, a scientific club, but also they were looking back then. This is a long, long time ago about looking at what's going on in the Eastern world to try and marry science with wisdom. He walks in there and says, I'd like to talk at one of your workshops or webinars. And they said, who on earth are you, young man? Are you kidding me? For whatever reason, somebody thought there's something about this chap. We'll give him a go. He might get laughed out. Who knows? And he got talking and he captivated the whole audience, and the rest is history. So Alan Watts first. The thing with Alan is that you won't find a lot of practices and tools so that you can then take his guidance and his inspiration to then go, okay, well, where would I start now as a base to practice this, to get myself rooted, to live everything that he espouses and he inspires within me. So, but he's wonderful to listen to because what he's doing really, you mentioned sutras at the start there, Michael. It's sutras. He's planting seeds in you, and that's all he likes to do, and he's amazing at it. So I would say pick an Alan Watts book that resonates with you. I don't like to particularly mention titles. I would say look at a few books, and you'll find the one that connects, the one that you want. Eckhart Tolle, he's really advanced in my view because he's incredibly impactful on the world with his books on presence, on the now, right? The power of now. That is a book I'd recommend, I think, to anybody who wants to start looking inside to find yourself, the power of now. But I've noticed over the years, he now includes a lot more practical tools, which he wasn't doing before. It was quite verbal, almost like a discussion meditation, if you like, which I love anyway. But now he's giving people, and you just have to look at his audiobooks to find a few practices and tools, particularly practices on presence. Okay, so his books, definitely. Again, find the one that's resonating with you.
And do you have one more? You don't have to get into it, but who else would you say, if you've exhausted Eckhart Tolle and Alan Watts, who else would you recommend?
Tara Brach, Tara Brach, because she's all about compassion. She uses the RAIN mnemonic, RAIN. I'll say no more. Just Google that. BRACH, Tara. She's a beautiful soul, and she really calms you when you really need it, especially emotionally. So, and by audio as well, she's delightful to listen to.
I love it. What are a couple of more areas, like where would you like to take us? And I'll put up Charlotte just in case this is of assistance, a word or two or a flow might flash in. Good.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, Michael. I'm developing a program called Flow State, and my app, it's called the EZ app, by the way. It's in beta test at the moment. The E is for Emotionist, which is a company in Korea I'm developing with incredible AI engineers that I never again dreamed I'd ever be working with. They're from Sangmyung University, and Professor Huang is the genius brains behind it in terms of brain technology. Um, so Emotionist and ZenBOK is my company, and it created EZ, and I thought easy. It's all about getting in flow. And so the program itself will be digital, but I can coach people online as well. Flow is when you are in that state, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. It could be sitting on a chair, it could be with your loved one or with your pet, it could be at work. When you're in that state, you are at one with everything else. It's the analogy is from being the person who's gone on a horse ride and the horse is bucking and everything else and all over the place because you're just not connected. You're not, you're not in that, you're not in flow or coherence with this other creature. And when you're in flow, you and the horse are one. A lot of professional horse riders and eventers, you'll hear them talking about this. Something happens when they're eventing where they know, ooh, I'm there. And everything becomes, I'm one with the horse. And that is what I'm trying to do with people in their lives. So it becomes effortless. And so if you're then able to do practices to almost switch on and switch off flow at will and be in flow effortlessly. Everything you do, the work that you've been doing, let's say you've got a job that particularly you're starting to get a bit disillusioned with again, or people you're getting disillusioned with, all of a sudden you understand that if you just connect in flow, and typically you'll do that in the present moment, it takes on a different, completely new meaning, a completely new meaning where it's not a utility anymore. It's about interbeing, it's about interconnection, it's about being one with everything. And suddenly you're just filled with life. That's you'll see it in people's faces. The tennis players get this. You can see all of a sudden they'll come off the court and somebody will go, "What happened? How come you just got back from one set down to and you looked exhausted and fatigued and going nowhere?" Rafael Nadal is a classic example. He was coming to the end of his career. He then won a Grand Slam again. And they said, "What happened at the end?" He said, "I just don't know. It just felt like flow. I wasn't there anymore. Everything was just in unison. I can't even remember hitting the shots." So flow to me is a wonderful state to aspire to being into. And I believe you can turn it on and off at will when you have the right practice strategies, practices, and tools. So encouraging people to get into the flow state, to be coherent rather than incoherent with a mind that is unobserved, going all over the place, which is reflected into an incoherent, turbulent body. Flow.
I'm going to say a phrase and then I'm going to give one or two quotes randomly drawn from 18 pages here. But compassion for all is life is from Angels from a while ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And of course, a Winnie the Pooh quote is coming next. and then an Einstein quote that are basically saying the same thing, I think. Drinking milk and taking and talking at the same time may result in your having to be patted on the back and dried for quite a long time after. And then any man who can drive safely while kissing a pretty girl is simply not giving the kiss the attention it deserves. I'll do one more. Buddha, I never see what is done, I only see what remains to be done. Who knows if that was truly attributed? Out of those three or four quotes, what jumps out at you as a miniature talk here?
I love the one about the kiss. How true is that? If you're not fully engaged in it, you know, you, because you're out of control, aren't you? There is no control anymore, isn't it? You're just in that moment and stuff. And it reminds me, there's a similar Einstein one, isn't there, when you're sitting on a hot oven or something like that, and you're with a pretty girl, time just goes by. You don't even feel it. It's quite kind of similar. So I love that. I love that engagement, and who knows, maybe that's a form of flow too.
Where do you see everything going in a few years with respect to technology? Do you think it'll be all over the map with people promising different outcomes?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. I think the the movement from analog to digital can't be stopped. It's getting faster and faster. It's getting tinier and tinier. Nanotechnology now is the next big thing. It can't be stopped. So we must learn to embrace it, and the only way we can do that is with awareness. What are we doing with these devices that will soon become part of us, actually? Even though the ones that I'm using now are prosthetic, if you like, and there's no physical connection, but it uses light waves bounced off your face to measure the vascularity. And from that vascularity, it picks up all sorts of encoded information about your breath rate, your heart rate, and your stress levels. And it stores them back on the machine and then puts out 6 biomarkers to say, boom, that's how you're really doing. It's not a question. It's like, no, this is how you're really doing after that practice. It's inevitable. And I'd ask people to embrace it, but embrace it with awareness to make sure that you're using it for the right reasons, whether it's in you or, you know, um, something that you're using it from the back of your pocket and everything else, because there's EEG, PPG, which is brainwaves, pulse wave scanners now that I'm using too. There's retreats where we're going to be using all this, but always, 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 this is my thing. I'm working with a company in Hanh in Chiang Mai. I will mention them because they're exceptional. They're called Lucid Studios, and Garnet Dupuis has a device where you literally now, it's relevant to this conversation, you get meditated. So rather than meditation coming up from within you and what you're doing, stroboscopic light patterns will alter your neuronal patterns, and that will translate into encoded neurophysiology where you think, feel, and act better. This is the well tech that's coming. And it happens, you mentioned right at the start, Michael, it's accelerated. Well, in 11 minutes a day now, you literally can change your neuropsychology. That's where well tech's going. Let's embrace it, but also always be aware. Take a breath before you do anything with it and use it, even a stretch breath to remind yourself, is this ethical? You know, what's the moral aspects of what I'm doing here with myself or with other people? Always be aware of that because it is neutral actually, but it can be used for manipulative purposes.
Yeah,
So,
corporations with their workers down the road, we don't want to hear about that, but just check which way the arrow is pointed before you're launching the arrow.
absolutely, Michael. Well
Yeah.
said.
Well, Ian, a last area to talk about here. How can we not even know what we're asking for to allow for more, to allow for all? I'll put up a Native American chief, red shirt, Lakota Sioux chief, historical figure, very gentle. I always say the gentlest mom in the world. Compassion, compassion, compassion. If you'd allow yourself to catch a Native American scent, one of 60 in the air, even though you're in Thailand, campfire smell, tobacco, sweetgrass, juniper, cedar, pine, desert pinon. What are you getting?
I'm getting all of the above, and I'm getting that lovely sense of being around the fire, the
Yeah,
heat, isn't it? Being grounded and rest.
Joy will come in Native American style for you. They love Hollywood wardrobe changes. Have a little moment um, before we transition over to Buddhism. We'll bring in Buddha and Thich Nhat Hanh in just a little bit, but have them come in and show you something, and this will be your closeout speech. And take a minute this way. And when you hear music or wind, metal, chimes, things that move on the wind at a temple, when you hear that, let Thich Nhat Hanh arrive and Buddha arrive. And between the four, if you don't mind feeling it as much as you hear it. And I'm going to read a quote that I love to read once in a while when I remember to. For everybody at home, please like, subscribe, share, and emoji counts for a comment. Don't be shy. But you're doing an emoji is an act that actually helps other people see the show. And if you have been to Thailand, please share that experience or anything that we've touched upon in the show. That'd be fabulous. Here's the quote from Angels a while ago. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment. So too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassionate to all. Do it. And with that, Ian, did you get your four different loving figures coming in unconditionally?
Yes, I did. And they all sat around the campfire together.
And what would be your encouragement or your reminder for us all?
I never ask people to do something, especially if it's something I haven't done myself. Find yourself. And once that's happened, come from a place of fullness always before you then carve out a difference in the world. So find yourself. Come from a place of fullness, then carve out and make a difference in the world. Those three steps.
I love it. Ian Matthews, thank you for being on the APL Spotlight Series. Truly a pleasure every time we speak.
Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you for the audience for being here with us too.